Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel where I speak about matters relating to gang stalking. It's all about gang stalking here. Forget gang stalking. Forget that shit. It's nothing. Cheap pranks meant to try to destabilize your mind. Focus on other things. However, though we should be forgetting about gang stalking and acting almost like it's not happening, and moving on with our lives. At the same time, it's good to educate ourselves about gang stalking, and this is mainly a video for anyone. It's to share my experience of gang stalking in terms of the tactics that were used against me, but also for anyone who has just recently started to get gang stalked. Maybe if they stumble upon my video, it might give them some idea, and they may have some kind of aha moment, like, oh, this is happening to me as well, and so on and so forth. And I'll tell you what, one of the comforting things that I had when I was first gang stalked was that when I eventually stumbled upon videos and articles about gang stalking, and I saw all the things that were described therein that were very similar to my experience, that gave me a lot of comfort. I felt like, wow, okay, so this is happening to other people. And the way that it was described was specifically the way that it was happening to me. So that gave me a little bit of comfort and said, okay, I don't have anyone to talk to at the moment to explain anything regarding gang stalking or anyone that would believe me. However, I have the testimony of other individuals, so that just kind of made me feel a bit more at ease. Though I was completely, losing it in terms of what do you call it? Composure. Not composure, but just mentally distraught, let's say, and panicking. Anyway, the tactics used in gang stalking. What are the tactics used in gang stalking? Man, this is a big one. This deserves maybe an hour worth of talking. But I'll try and go through each and every one of them, and if I can, I'll try and finish in the next video. Typical gang stalking tactics include many things. As I have experienced them, there are many other tactics that have been used on other individuals. And of course, I noticed another thing is that what is so special about my experience is that it happened in many countries. So it happened in Europe, Middle East, North Africa, different parts of the world, basically. And because it followed, yes, gang stalking follows. It's not going to go away just because you move from one country to another. You can fly to another country. It will fucking follow you. It might take a couple of days to kick in, but it will kick in, trust me. So the tactics I noticed are different from one country to another, but generally what happened to me was, certain specific things that were repeated many times. And one of them was the car honking. Man, car honking is a bitch. Car honking is terrible. What is it basically? Say you live, you live somewhere, right? You live, it doesn't matter. You're renting an apartment, you're staying in a motel or a hotel. There'll be cars passing by, and as soon as they pass by your accommodation, they honk the horn. So they'll do that many times throughout the day. And the number of times it is done leaves out the possibility that it has anything to do with chance. It's not by chances. This is repetitive. It's happening always near where you live. And it's usually an area which is, because if it's an urban area, suburban area where there's not a lot of traffic, it doesn't make sense that I hear the cars honking like 1,000 times during the day. That's very suspicious. You'd have to be a fucking dumbass not to notice that. You'd have to be like literally coked up on drugs not to notice something like that, and a complete dummy not to think anything suspicious of it. You'd have to be literally dumbed down not to notice that. So it will happen to you like, you'll just be sitting in your home. Imagine you spend the entire day at home, which I don't particularly recommend that you do. However, if you did, you would notice that at least 1,000 times cars honking. And you look around you and you think, well, this area is not, it's suburban, there's no traffic, there's no intersection, there's no highway. Why are these cars honking? There's no explanation. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So, and it's happening just like near where I live. Completely suspicious, I would say. So that's the car honking. Another subset is you'll get motorcycle honking, and this is where you'll get the biggest evidence, because motorcycles passing by, and they'll honk the car as soon as they pass by your accommodation. So when you look out the window and you look, in my case, there was a motorcycle passing by, pizza delivery, and he just honks the car, the horn, sorry, and I look down and I see that there is no one on the street. I said maybe he saw a friend of his and he's like honking because he just wants to say hi or something, but there was no one there. So he just literally passing by and honking the horn as he's passing by my accommodation. So there you go. That's the car honking, okay? Another one is specific sensitization. Well, this is all part of the sensitization, but they'll sensitize you to insults. So in my case, they decided what is appropriate for me. Thank you very much. Though I am not a fag, I am definitely not a cocksucker. I do not like cock. I have never sucked dick before, and as much as you people may want me to be gay, I am not, okay? I'm sorry you guys are jealous that I'm handsome. So sorry. I know it kills you, but I'm not gay. I'm all about the pussy. I love women, okay? I know, yeah, I may have said it in a way that's a bit crass, but that's just who I am. I like women, okay? So yeah, they decided to call me a fag, and they've done it many times. And of course, I must have heard people call me a fag at least 30,000 times by now. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. I'm not counting, but, it must have happened. So what do I mean by this is, do people come to me and say, hey, you fag, you this, you that? No, no, no. They don't do that. With gang stalking, they'll pass by you and they'll say fag, Fag, fag. They'll find creative ways to kind of send you the message. And of course, since it happens to you like 1,000 gazillion times, it's directed at you. When they do it to you, you just know deep down in your soul. There's not an inch of doubt that it's meant for you. So you'll be walking in the street, they pass by, fag, fag, fag. They'll be talking to each other and saying fag, fag, and they're shouting fag, fag. They'll sometimes alternate and say other things like bastard and bitch and this and that, but it's usually fag for me. It's funny, I found an article of a guy giving his testimony about gang stalking, and he had the same thing happen to him. They kept calling him a faggot. So anyway. Yeah, passing by in the street, doing it in covert ways. For example, there were some British guys that were passing by in a group, and I was standing in front of the motel that I was staying at, and they passed by, they pointed at the motel, and they said, we don't want to go to this motel because there's a fag staying there. And of course, I know it's about me, you know what I mean? They'll use these like creative methods to kind of relay the message to you. And of course, there's nothing you can do or say, because even if you ran up to them and you challenged them, you said, fuck you, this and that, you said that and that about me, they'd be like, dude, you're crazy, man, I didn't talk to you, leave me alone. Do you want me to call the cops? Okay, anyway. So they'll play these sordid games with you. In my case, they used to pass by my accommodation and shout that a lot, fag, 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 you fucking fag, like that, like crazy people. So yeah, that's what they have done, okay? That's what it is. Expect that. If it happens to you and you keep hearing some kind of insult, it could be anything that you think they are trying to stick on you, then there you go. It's gang stalking shit. Gang stalking tactics. Another one is street theater. First time I got street theater was when I was in Amsterdam. I was staying in a motel. Um, Man, it was street theater. I gotta say, out of all the tactics that they use, street theater is one of the most bewildering, hard-hitting ones that I've ever met because it's like 15 people. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's something that no one would believe. Like you cannot, you literally cannot tell someone that a flash mob just showed up below my accommodation just to insult you. I mean, no one would believe that. No one would believe that. It doesn't matter who you tell that to. They will not believe that. But it did happen. And in actuality, I was convinced that I was being gang stalked when I looked at the term on the internet. Was, of course, when I looked up the street theater. And when the street theater happened to me, that's when I actually knew for sure, you know, this is gang stalking. You know, that was like my seal of confirmation. Like, dude, you're being gang stalked, man. Anyway, yeah, street theater is basically they'll send like 15. Say you're staying in a motel or you're staying in your, don't know, house, whatever you live, wherever you're staying, and they'll come downstairs if you are next to the street or some kind of alley or something. And they'll send like 10 people. It can sometimes be just two guys doing some weird skit, but you know, 15 for my first time, just to kind of really do the whole shock and awe thing. They sent me 15 people. 15. They stand there and they do a street theater. Now, if you've watched Game of Thrones, you know that comedy theater that they were doing about King Joffrey's death, you know, the Purple Wedding. It's literally like that. It's literally like that. Okay, that's what street theater is. If it's happening to you, dude, you're not imagining that shit. It literally is happening to you, okay? And that's one of the tactics they use. So they'll do a theater about you. You know, they'll make sure that you hear. They'll do it loud enough that you hear. Of course, because I was in Amsterdam and there was a lot of people downstairs, they could get away with doing a really big one because nobody would notice. They would just think, drugged up youth in Amsterdam, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? No one's going to pay attention to what's happening. If it's a quieter area, then of course they'll maybe send just two people so it doesn't look too suspicious, like, you know, trouble-wise. Yeah, so 15 people came down and they started doing this street theater about how I'm a fag and this and that, and they were shouting and they were like, I need, you know, they were shouting like, we need you to get payback, we want you to be defeated, you know, you're gonna get destroyed, this and this and that gonna happen to you. Go back here, go back there, do this, do that. You know, and interlacing it with all kinds of material that has to do with my life. Because I was looking for a job back then. Very creative, I gotta say. You know, interlacing it with different elements of your life and what's happening to you. With insults and, you know, literally like a theater, like that Purple Wedding thing. And, of course, it's a street theater, so it's a comedy. So it's a comedy about you. Comedy interlaced with insults, essentially. And that's that's what happens to you. That's a street theater, okay? What's another one? Besides the street theater, there is the cars doing some weird things. For example, you go outside and you get the headlights flashed by a bus, public transportation, or random car. Just flashes you with lights. You know, just salute. You know, raise your hand. The driver, you know, he just raised his hand and he's saluting me. Whatever. I don't know what that was all about. Seemed really suspicious. But, hey, it's gang stalking. Everything's suspicious. Nothing is normal anymore. Directed conversations, of course. Directed conversations. Oh man, this one deserves a video for that. Directed conversations. I think I'll end with this one. But anyway, directed conversations. Okay. It's basically people talking about you and your private life and your private things, not necessarily using your name, but just talking about private things in your life. As it's happening, and you're listening to them talking, you know they're talking about you because of the material that is being used in that conversation. It's a very odd conversation. You get the sense, you get a very strong sense. By the way, that's another thing. In gang stalking, you need a lot of sense. You need to sniff things out, like kind of like get a feel for things. Like, is this happening to me? Is this about me? Is this not? You know what I mean? You gotta feel it. Don't let other people try to like gaslight you into thinking that like, nah, man, nothing's happening. You're just interpreting things. Blah blah. No. A lot of people are not gonna understand what's happening to you, and they're gonna gaslight you, not on purpose, but they're gonna tell you that your reality is not true. That's what I've experienced. Most people telling me that what I'm experiencing is just misinterpretation and I didn't understand what was happening. No. I am understanding what's happening because it is happening to me. Okay? So, yeah, directed conversations. You're in the street and you just have these like people talking about you, basically. Talking about your private life. And it can go in two ways. Either they're just literally talking there about you, like, ha ha ha, he's so stupid, he did this and this and that, oh, he's a thief, I heard that he was a pedophile, or I heard he was a mass murderer or terrorist or something, or that he's a fugitive or criminal, shit of that nature, like, third person conversation about a third person, which is you. And of course, people looking at you like, like, whoa, this guy is here. You're here. This T.I. is here, man, Look who came in, Look what the cat dragged in, That kind of look. So, the other type, the more nefarious, the one that I dislike the most. Oh, shit, I'm telling them. Fuck. They can do it all the time they want. I don't care. But, the other type is the directed conversation where they use sarcasm and mockery, and they use the first person. So I'll try and explain it to you. So for example, if I'm trying to mock you, and like they were trying to mock me basically, and have conversations about me where they're mocking me, usually they'll do it in a certain way. Like as they're passing by you, they let you hear these directed conversations. So you feel like paranoid. You're like, shit, this person just talking about me. The random stranger. Am I imagining it? This is kind of the rabbit hole that they want you to be like, am I imagining it? Man, I need to get a rest. That kind of thinking is what they want. They'll be talking in the first person about me, basically, and they'll be saying something like, well, I'm just here to look for some money, and I'm looking for a job, and then I'm going to go here and there and there. And of course, that XXX information is relevant to me, so I know that they're talking about me, right? I hope you get it. Or for example, give you a clearer example would be something like, yeah, and I'm just kind of like, okay, let's just make up an example like, yeah, and I'm just a TI, and I'm just being gang stalked, and I can't deal with it, and it's so difficult, what I mean? Oh, man. That would be an example of directed conversation. Now, that didn't literally happen to me that way, but that's an example. That's something that a gang stalker would say about you to make fun of you, to mock you. They're not literally talking about you in the third person. They're using the first person. They're using a caricature, okay? They're making a caricature of you, using sarcastic means. And the good thing about that for them, why is it so powerful, is because this tactic means they have plausible deniability, like everything else that they do. That person, if challenged, can just say, I wasn't talking about you, I was talking about myself. Well, of course they're not talking about themselves, they're talking about you, mind you. And of course, it because of the content of the thing. Like they'll pass by me and they'll refer to specific things that happened in my life and in my private life and so on and so forth. I don't really need to dig deep into this one, but it's just, you know, if it's happening to you, I just want to tell you that this is a gang stalking tactic. This is not you misinterpreting what some other people are, random people are saying in the street. You're not schizophrenic, you're not imagining things, and you're not hearing voices. You're literally hearing people, and you're not taking the conversation out of context. You're not. It's not an issue of misinterpretation on your part. The issue is you're being gang stalked. Okay, these people are gang stalking you. Okay, they're trying to drive you mad. That's what they're trying to do. And that's basically the directed conversation. Hope that clears up some of the tactics that they use. And of course, I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours because I've just had so much data of things happening to me that it's like, man. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things that will happen to you in gang stalking, the tactics. Oh, I didn't cover another one, which is the hand signals. I might do that in next videos. Hand signals. Oh man, it's a wide sea. I mean, I wish, because the thing is with my video cameras, like I have a limited memory, so I can't record more than 20 minutes. So yeah, there you go. So that was basically everything about you know, the tactics that they use. I'll try and cover more about the hand signals, and you guys take care. All right. And of course, if you're being gang stalked, just I feel for you, man, and like, just, you know, man or woman, by the way, but you know, just hang in there.